Last but certainly not least, last of today, we have Laurence Nunn. He's representing Panasonic. Now this is a lighting event, but we invite Panasonic every year because they are so helpful to Digital Cinema Society. They help us with cameras, and they help sponsor this event, and we very much appreciate them, and we appreciate their cameras. This is Cameron Cannon. He's the DP today on this show. We're shooting with all Panasonic cameras, and these are Panasonic monitors. And I actually own 2 VariCams, and we used them on the last feature. Cameron went with me. It was in Michigan in the very, very cold of November and December. Cameron was the operator and B camera operator, second unit DP. And why don't you tell us about your experience with the camera?
In terms of ruggedness, I was quite pleased with how rugged this camera could get. We put it through its paces. A typical night for us would be 19 degrees and snowing, or it would start not quite night, 34 degrees and raining on us, and we would typically leave the camera in that condition but then keep the batteries warm. So we were fighting warming things on the end of the camera to keep the batteries, to keep the camera working, but keeping the camera and lenses as close to ambient temperature so they wouldn't fog up. So it was a constant stress on the system, and I think the only LND that the camera department had in 7 weeks of these conditions was a couple of BNC cables. Everything else flawlessly, zero downtime for camera issues and lens issues, which is pretty impressive. And we used it substantially in the high ISO setting, and again, that's cut in with all the other stuff that we did from the 800, and we shot a lot at 2500 ISO, and just remarkable. I was really happy to watch Jim do his work and be a part of it.
At large night exteriors with nothing bigger than you could plug into a household circuit. And yeah, a lot of it, we'd go up to the ISO, native ISO of 5,000, then come down to 2,500, and you can cut between that and 800, and you cannot tell.
Yeah, that's great. It was a lot of fun. A lot of really fun camera to work with.
Thank you, Cameron. Sure. Now I'll let you tell us how wonderful VariCam is.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's always nice to hear. Thanks, everyone, for coming today, and thanks for Jim for looking after us today. So as you mentioned, the cameras we've got filming us today are EVA1 and 2 VariCams in the back. Anyone seen any VariCam shows listed here? We've got Ozarks, Orange is New Black, the OA. We just did Polar on Netflix, which is a really interesting show. Basically, it's what's been tagged as a new version of John Wick. Crazy Rich Asians just wrapped a couple of months ago and is now, I think it's 6th all-time romantic comedy. Beautiful looking piece shot on VariCam Pure in the high end. No Activity is on CBS right now. We've also got LA's Finest, which is a spin-off from another CBS show that's running currently. So we've got a lot of stuff, and of course Netflix is a primary outlet for VariCam work. All of our VariCams fall into the Netflix mandate 4K, certain megabits per second, dynamic range. So this is the range currently. We've got the GH5S, the EVA1 that's filming me right now on the to my left, VariCam LT, VariCam 35, which I've got on my stand over here, and the VariCam Pure, which is the uncompressed RAW version. So we've got a huge amount of products in our inventory right now. The EVA1, for example, we just did a brand new firmware upgrade version 3.0, which takes us to a 5.7K sensor, 4K up to 60 frames a second, 14 stops of dynamic range, and dual native ISO of either 800 or 2500. So it gives you the option of, we've seen a lot of small LED panels today, to be able to use and be much more creative in lighting scenes using 2500 ISO, or in the case of the VariCams, 5000. So it's a really simple process for us. We have 2 analog sensors built into the camera. We're not just adding gain and noise reduction to get to 2500. So it enables you to shoot in really, really low light conditions, be much more creative, and not have to carry tons and tons of lights like you used to in the day. You can now shoot single 1x1 LED panels super lightweight, super small cameras. The EVA-1 is just coming up on its first anniversary. It's a 2.8-pound camera, pretty much loaded. So it's great for gimbals and drones. Gets you really, really small locations, backseat of a car, for example. We've got full wireless control capabilities now. In fact, I'm going to take control of that camera. There's a free app we've got and a Wi-Fi dongle that plugs into the back of the body, so I can literally just start coming in here, and you can see on the panel in front of me, I can start changing ISO settings, increase and decrease, and this is all off a free app, straight to an iPad or an iPhone. Really, really simple to do. The VariCams themselves, the LT, the 35 and the Pure, have been around for about 3 or 4 years now, and this is the range that we've got. 4K 444 on the VariCam 35, again, up to 120 in 4K on the 35. We can do raw outputs on all of our cameras as well, including the Pure, which is 12-bit uncompressed raw. So you've got a ton of data and a beautiful color palette that's all based around BT 2020. So we've got a gorgeous color space, low light performance, and anyone that used any Panasonic cameras in the history have seen we've built the pedigree based on our old P2 cameras, our old studio cameras, the DVX 100. Anyone have one of those? Yeah, how many hands? Lots of them. So the pedigree is run through all the way through to the VariCams now with gorgeous skin tones, mixed skin tones in the scene, and of course we've added the low light performance to be able to get into those impossibly dark conditions and shoot under essentially what is candlelight. And again, we're not using gain and noise reduction to get to 5,000. It's a completely separate circuit that allows you to literally on the fly just change and add 2.5 stops of exposure for no noise increase. This is a photo I really, really like. This is based around a piece by Frank Prince called It's a Mess. So look at the different kinds of lighting he's got in this particular scene. We've got the LEDs on the Empire State Building. We've got the halogens on the truck. We've got the sodium vapor under the 2 kids on the left-hand side of frame. And how well the camera handles all that color palette in one scene. And that's existing light there. There's nothing else in that frame. So a super quiet image in mixed lighting conditions. So it's a very versatile camera. We did this a couple of years ago, NAB, I think this was 2015. So there's half a foot candle in that scene right now. I can't get over how amazing this camera is. I came from 26 years of working at Panavision, so I've seen every single digital camera come and go from the F900 all the way through. This camera still blows me away in low light conditions. There's nothing to touch it in the world, and having 5,000 as a base really, really is amazing. You drop down to 3200, you've got a completely crystal clean image. We've also added Wi-Fi dongles or Wi-Fi control to all of the VariCams as well, so this will run off an iPhone with just a plug-in dongle. For those of you who do broadcast style work, any event work, we've added what we call VariCam Live or Cine Live to the VariCam LT series now. So it basically takes our Super 35 4K sensor and converts it into a full broadcast style setup. So we can use broadcast style lenses and do either live or near live production where we can record in camera and then do full paintbox control on the back end. So we added our HRP 1000 firmware to this to be able to take us to the next level. So we can do full live color control over Cat5 cable. So really versatile setup, and we can control up to 100 cameras off one paint box if needs be. So that's a whole new step forward, is having all of the tools, all the color imagery and the low light performance, and then being able to tie it into broadcast style paint controls. For exposure tools, we've added spot meters in the middle of the sensor, which gives us a percentage or stop rating over 18% gray, false color, zebra, and of course waveforms on all the VariCam outputs. So it's really helped to get simple tools that are easy to understand built into the cameras. We added very recently a LUT library, a lookup table library, 35 free in-camera and CDL LUTs for downstream. So you can very simply on set be able to view your image in a 709 or a sepia or whatever you want to do, and then match the CDL on the back end for post-color grading. If you want to find out any more information on VariCams, we've got a ton of information out there. We've got varicam.com, panasonic.com/varicam. Our Vimeo website has, or vimeo.com, has all of our footage, including the first 3 pieces we shot with the EVA1 prototypes. We've got Facebook and Instagram pages, of course, ton of social media out there. There are menu simulators for all of our cameras available online, so if you're planning to use a VariCam or have any questions about how the menu structures work, you can download this for free. And then, of course, the apps I've just shown you today. That's it. Thank you.